Hello. Okay, that was quick. Usually I wait for two people to join the live, but a ton of people have joined already. So I'm just gonna start really quickly. If you guys have seen any of the stuff I posted yesterday, and if you've gone to my YouTube, you've seen what I've gone through. I've been gang stalked. I think most people don't even know what that is. I didn't even know what that is. It's almost like the perfect crime because it's just abusing you with using multiple people and your own personal social network without you being able to point the finger in a way that makes sense. It's people basically weaponizing your personal network against you to destroy your life. And they usually have a reason for doing it. Either they're doing it because somebody doesn't like you and somebody paid for it, meaning you're like, I know somebody in the States right now, it's happening to her because she worked for Estee Lauder and she had proof against them for racial discrimination. And obviously that's gonna cost the company a lot of money. Like, look at what Mac went through when they got accused of racial discrimination against black people. Look at all the money they had to put into all these campaigns and whatnot. So it could be a company, but a lot of the times it happens with people that they're putting in human trafficking, keeping people in human trafficking, and in my case, drug muling. I think I dated someone who was involved in that, who was kind of stuck in that. And then when he figured out what was going on, he ran off to try to save me from it. But I think what they do is once you've dated someone like that, maybe to protect the secrets or maybe whatever. And the thing is, I truly didn't know anything about what was going on because I interacted with this person during COVID, so no one was traveling. And, I got infected in that way by that situation. And let me tell you, there's somebody else that I know, another influencer girl that I know. She's been on our page before. She's modeled for me before. And I remember when she was dating a guy and she starts dating this guy. And I remember because she was a humble girl. And then I remember all of a sudden she started wearing like designer handbags and like just like getting out there. Everybody knows when a girl goes from like being a normal girl to like now she's rocking designer handbags and she's kind of stepping out a little bit. She's flying all over. She's doing all of that. And then shortly after dating that guy, she ended up being friends with particular people who I also believe are a part of this as well. And then all of a sudden, recently in about, I want to say September, October, she ended up coming to my store and then I got confirmation that she is a part of this. I'm not going to go into why or how right now because it's not important to what I'm going to say. But this is something I really wanted to say. So first of all, let me just tell everybody Happy New Year's. I made it to 2024. My God. Yo, this shit is so crazy. It's so intense. I'll use another video to tell you guys how brutal this situation is. Every time I start talking on live, the cat goes crazy. He's been good all day. We don't even know where they are all day. But once I come on live, they start going through it. But anyway, it's not that I didn't think I was going to make it. I know God always pulls me through, but this is the most intense thing I've ever gone through. I felt like I was in a movie. I've said this a bunch of times before. This drug trade thing is something where everybody has a boss. And I feel like when John Ferreira, who's the chief guy, the one who owned the gang stalking company, started coming at me, he had a fairly connected position. Connected with police, connected with, like, let me tell you what I'm talking about when I say connected. Like, I would show up to a hotel, and when I called the hotel, they're like, yeah, of course, we have vacancy, come. And when I get there, they'd look at me The girl would answer her cell phone behind the desk and she's like, I'm sorry, we don't have any space. And I'm like, you just told me you did. She's like, I'm sorry, we don't have any space. They had people at Bell. They were monitoring all my security stuff. Like, I would talk to an IT person today. They're like, yeah, we're going to help you with the hacking. You need to do this. You need to do that. We have a whole conversation. They give me all this advice. The next time I speak to them, they're like, oh, sorry. I don't know what that is. I'm going to turn my volume up. Yeah, they'd give me all this great advice day one. Day two, when I talk to them, they're like, sorry, you're not being gang stalked. Oh, and by the way, you should take off the security stuff on your phone and stop making your passwords hard. Like, make your passwords easy. And it's like, whoa. It's really important to understand the kind of reach these people have. You just get the sense that no matter where you go, there is nowhere you can go where they don't have pull. So whether it's to the police, whether it's to the RCMP, no matter where you go, you do not have pull. The bank, the people at the bank do not want to deal with you anymore. They don't want to help you with the loan applications anymore. The people at the phone companies don't want to help anymore. And the thing is that they would bribe people along the way. So it becomes a very frustrating thing, and you feel like a mouse who's stuck in some kind of a trap, because it's not just that when you go to the police that they just don't want to help you out of spite or because they're paid. They're scared. It's like as soon as you mention the situation and they listen and they listen and they hear certain keywords, they're like, you just see their whole body language change and they're like, oh yeah? Oh, okay. And they let you leave after you've made your report. I had to bully them to take a report from me. Bully them. And after they were done taking the report, nothing came of it. No one's answering your calls. No one's returning your calls. Nothing. This is what people who are stuck in those kind of lifestyles go through. You might see a girl online and she's taking pictures of handbags and clothes and whatever. She's taking pictures traveling all over the place. She has to. That's all she has. That is literally all she has. She's scared of someone. Because as long as whoever this pimp is paying a company like this to keep her in line, she can't go anywhere. She has to keep working. And it just made me look at the world in a whole new way. There are people that are silent victims out there. They're stuck. And what allows me to be able to talk like this is for the fact that I held out for a year and a half. Because I've held out, I've made these people tired. But there's a deeper thing to it than just me. I really want to address that. And I might bounce back and forth between these two topics. When I came into John Ferreira's life, he was right at the cusp of really solidifying himself with the cartel. That's how I feel. I don't think he was like solidly in there already. I think he was at the cusp. This means that he would have had the resources all of a sudden. Let me tell you something. So I was doing research online. I was like reading up on stuff, and they said that this is a type of organization where they will just cut the power in your house and block your number from the energy company. And you're trying to call the energy company and you're just not getting through. So you're stuck without power. Or you go to the gas station and they look and they see it's you and they shut it off. You can't buy gas. It's like those are the type of resources. Like, they have people everywhere. And I remember someone saying that to me in the beginning, because I asked them, I was like, what do you think this is that's like after me that I'm going through? And I said, I think it's the cartel. And they're like, no, it's not. Because if it was, you'd know, because they're everywhere. You can't escape them. This is what this dangerous person was going to end up with or in. This is the kind of resources that he was going to have. And if he was able to do what he was doing in Toronto before having that, If he ended up in there, it would have been a wrap for it, because of the type of personality that he is. He is persistent. He's persistent. He's extremely persistent. I can feel that this person is tired and he keeps going. Now things make a little bit more sense to me, because I realize, like, if they were given money and resources to get this job done to bring me in and they haven't done it, they're 1,000% getting death threats. And I started noticing that at the end, the way everybody was behaving. The whole group didn't want to do it anymore. And I started seeing it with my neighbors. My neighbors would not come outside when I'm outside. They left me alone completely. People stopped following me. People were just done with it. And it's like, but my devices were being monitored from people out of town. So it's like, if I communicated on WhatsApp or on Instagram, if I go to my Instagram and look at where I'm signed in, it's like 18 plus places that I'm signed in, but I can't see any of them. But there's 18 places that I'm signed in. And every time I go in, there's more and more. But anyway, I'd go on my Instagram and I'd go to my group chat and I'd be like, this neighborhood's so dead, nobody's outside. Within 3 minutes, everybody would be outside. My neighbors would be outside, rushing outside, putting on the left slipper, just coming outside to just water grass, to cut grass that's already cut, just to stand outside and just put on a fake smile. Those people were scared. That's when I knew they were between a rock and a hard place. And I knew whatever was pushing them to do what they were doing was not in Toronto. It wasn't local. It wasn't John. So at this point in time, I know that this guy that's doing that to me, the guy that I posted on my profile yesterday, which I had to take it down because I can't come on my profile every day and look at that face. Honestly, like, I had to take it down. But he's scared for his life. And I knew he was going to be between a rock and a hard place. But you know, the real message that I have, I want to explain something to people. I know not everybody will believe it, but you know, I think, let me see who's in the chat. If there's black people in the chat, or listen, I think most people know about this. So anyways, let me explain it. Destiny swapping. It is a spiritual thing where people, it's breaking spiritual law, by the way. It's where somebody takes somebody's destiny for themselves and gives them their own. They swap it. So if I've lived a bad life and I have bad karma coming towards me and I meet somebody who's lived a good life and has good karma, I want to swap it out. So the bad things that should happen to me happens to them, and the good things that should happen to them happens to me. Now, John Ferreira is a spiritualist, so he's been doing this for a very long time. And because people don't believe in this, they don't know that it's happening, but it's happening. It happens all the time. I want to name names. If there's going to be a day I can name names, but it's not today. And when I name names, it'll make perfect sense to you guys. There's people that we all know who are talented in this city. There are some of them that get out. So there's some basketball players, Tristan Thomas or whoever, they get out. They have time to get out. But there's some of them that they catch them here before they have time to leave, before they have time to escape. And what happens is they suck those people into their gang. And those people cannot leave. They suck them in. And so they feed off of whatever those people are supposed to have. So say you're a singer and you could really sing and you're supposed to be... There was this one girl. She was on tour with this huge artist. And now she's sucked into, again, you know, traveling every however often to these Latin countries. And she's not singing. She's not doing what her destiny is. She can barely survive financially. And they basically prey on people like that. And this is what they use to get money. This is what they use to buy these mansions, buy these cars, do all of these things. Whether or not you believe it is not the important thing right now. I'm telling you what's happened. And this is what they were trying to do with me. Now, the important part about this is you have to come at the right time. They come when it's ripe, meaning right before you get what is for you, right before you get what is yours. So it's like right before you blow up. Everybody has a moment. Beyonce had her moment right before she blew up, where she broke up from Destiny's Child. She started changing her wardrobe. It happens slowly. It's where you go from, say her demographic was more urban. Now all of a sudden she blows into an international star. She's making all this money. This is her destiny. What happens is people find you right at that moment where you're blowing up, and they hold on to you and they take it away from you. And many stars, we've seen that happen to them. We call them one hit wonders. Right when they get that hit that's supposed to make them blow up, people rush in, they rush towards them, and they take that away from them. The reason that I'm saying this right now is what's happened here, and this is for those in the know, people that understand or have been following my story or have gone on my YouTube or whatever. John Ferreira was right there of him blowing up. He was right there. This would have been the big one for him. I would have been the big one for him. I would have been that catch. So he was right before he actualized his destiny, or what he felt was his destiny. And he'd gone through perfecting gang stalking to a point where it was undetectable to most people. Because if you go report to the police that people keep coming to your store, they're leaving bad reviews, they're doing this, they're doing that, this thing is very hard to prove. Believe me, I know. I stopped reporting it. It's hard to prove. It's really hard to prove that you're not just having a bit of bad luck. I was guided by God on every step of what to do, and it was abusive. He had perfected this thing. He'd taken his time, and he'd gotten it to just such a place where it was logical for him to blow up. And let me show you how karma works. Right before he got to actualize and get that big payday and start making all this money, if he had taken this gang stalking that he had perfected and joined it with the cartel, the resources, we would have been fucked in this city. I want you guys to understand what has happened here, how crucial it was. We would have been fucked up in Toronto for sure, for a fact. For a fact. When I was going through that, no one was helping. They lower your engagement on your socials. You can't go out and speak out. If you do speak out, it even helps them more. It proves that whatever they're doing, it's actually working, and they're burdening you, and etc., etc. God had to step in at that time to destroy that man's life. Everything that man wished on me has happened to him. From health being no good. When he met me, I'm gonna tell you guys. And this came from his mouth. This came from his mouth as well. He said to me, everything that you're going through, I'm going through. So he knew very early on that he was getting kickback from the karma. But the thing is, he had already laid down in bed with those people, so he had to continue what he was doing. He couldn't get out of it at that point. When he came in, he had a marriage to a girl who was rich, or they had a lot of money. And I say girl, but this is a lady in her 40s. They had a lot of money. Her family has money, and the family as well is connected. As soon as my relationship broke up, his relationship broke up. So he lost that connection. He lost that family tie. He lost that lifestyle. He lost living in that big house, etc., etc. Then it was his health. He started coming down with illnesses. Then it was his money. Money is gonna get fucked up once you start losing clients, because you can't focus on the other business when you have this one. Usually it's like he's able to knock them out of the park, but I was taking up a lot of time and resources for the simple fact that I was not folding. And so they had to focus more time on me because I also come with the more dangerous client. Let me tell you, if the fucking CEO of Canadian Tire is not satisfied with the results, who cares? Gang stalk him now. What are they gonna do to those people? He can't do anything. Those are the people you have to please. He's now in a situation. I went through a situation I couldn't trust anybody. Limited resources means they could bribe anybody. One trip on one private jet, they're bringing over 300 million. So you think out of the 300 million, they don't have 50,000 to bribe somebody? They don't have 100,000? What is it going to take? Who cares? Money's nothing at that point. Money just runs. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, this is, at first I think he was striving for it. And then I think he got to a point where it's like, he's just desperate. Like he just has to get this job done because these people are dangerous. These people are more than dangerous. Dangerous is an understatement, okay? They do whatever they want. And there really is no government agency too much that could do too much. They have people, working in the fucking department. What do you mean? If he was raising hell, this man has put so many people in mental health institutions because as soon as they start saying the stress of being gang stalked is too much, they're going to go to the doctor and go complain. The doctor puts them on medication and they're incapable of running their life. They're a vegetable. They're a lunatic. The medication breaks them down. He said this to me himself because I said to him, the pressure is too much. I'm going to go to the doctors, but I said this as a threat because I thought going to the doctors would cause a paper trail. And it was like 3 times in a row he got upset. And he's like, don't do that. If you do that, then you're not going to be able to run your business. Is that what you want? And that really was not because he cared about me. That was because they needed me mentally sound to get on the plane to go travel. That's what that was about. So I'm telling you guys, first of all, I can't take credit for any of it because I would have stumbled so many times on making mistakes. I have to thank God for guiding my path and putting me in certain positions. I met him on a dating app after I dated my ex because they try to send so many different guys in, but none of it would ever work. And so he came in himself. I talked to him, and the only reason that I talked to him because he wasn't pushing to meet me. He wasn't pushing to sleep with me. He wasn't pushing for anything. So it's like, oh, I'm bored and I'll talk to this person on the phone every day and they don't know my personal networks or me. So it's like, I feel comfortable. It's not like I have to, it's not like talking on the phone about my personal business to somebody I know. If you know, you know. Like, if you're a private person, you don't want to talk to people in your networks about personal things that are happening. So I ended up talking to him, I want to say for like a week or two. And he was weird to me. He was asking way too many personal questions. He didn't want to meet up. He was just fucking weird. And he knew so much about me. So I was like, no. I cut him off and then he started gang stalking me. And I believe within about a week or two of the gang stalking starting, I remember one night I broke down crying in my washroom. And I was like, God, I need help. Like, what do I do? Get me out of this. This is crazy. And God was like, go to his shop tomorrow. I was like, what? But I have a habit that it's like, listen, I don't have any other options. So I'm going down there. I drive down there. I haven't eaten in like 48 to 72 hours at this point. I drive down there and I'm talking to this guy. And then I end up having a little fake thing with him, a fake friendship. And it's like, there's clearly no attraction between the two of us. He knows that I know who he is. And I know that he knows that I'm not convinced. But maybe he thinks I'm convinced at certain points. I don't know. Now, when you're having a little fake relationship with people, you got to give them something to make them think that you're trusting them. Remember, this is life or death to me. And I'm playing checkers, not chess. Or I'm playing chess, not checkers. So I'm giving him little bits of information and talking to him and opening up to him to make him think that I trust him. And his whole goal is to convince me to leave my ex alone. Like, F that guy, don't talk to that guy. But it's not like if that guy talked to me, let's meet up or anything like that. So he tells me a story about another girl that went through the same thing, but then she always wanted to meet up with him, but he met up with her just one time after everything was done. And I was like, whoa, that would have hurt me if I was the girl, because it's like, how comes you want to link up with me? Like, if we're talking, we met on a dating site. So I'm collecting information the whole time. Like, who is this person? What do they want? So it's like, I don't know if there were times he really believed that I was really trusting, but it's like, sometimes it's like, you hear things like, it's like, this person wants you to trust them again. And me and God are like, what do they mean again? That was like a clear strategy, but it's like, maybe maybe he believed it. I don't know. I don't know if he believed it or not. It is what it is. But I just know that I think he knew and I knew, because one night my laptop is hacked. And one night he caught me sending an email. Everybody was tagged on the email, the police, RCMP, news reporters, whatever. And he froze the computer. But the email saved in drafts, so I ran on my phone and I pressed send. So the email went out, and it was awkward because he didn't know what to do. So I knew he didn't know what to do. So 30 minutes later, he calls me and he's like, hey, I'm just telling you I have to close down my shop. And, we're traveling out the country, and talk about your life flashing before your eyes, my family just has a health scare. My brother can't work there anymore. And he's giving me all this bullshit because he's panicking. He's probably like, fuck. Because this email has all kinds of details. It has his picture. It has all kinds of stuff that's been sent to all these offices, these places around. And we had no argument. Nothing happened. But it was like, so he must have known, like, I'm not convinced. I know who you are and I know what you're about. But it was like, there's such desperation to sign me up and to get me on that plane and get that job done that he doesn't care if I know. And that's how the desperation has dwindled down the whole time. With these gang stalkers, they didn't care if I saw them. I'm telling you, they got sloppy as hell. They didn't care if I knew. They were sending the same people in multiple times because it was like, it was getting bad. It was like, it's taking too long. This is only supposed to take a couple weeks. I'm telling you, if they come for the average person, this takes a couple weeks. Just the scare of realizing that people are following you and it looks like a movie. Think about a movie where it's like an assassin is after you and you walk on the street and the bum on the corner is like this, and the guy walks away and the bum picks up a walkie-talkie and he's talking into the walkie-talkie like he just went down, or code blue or whatever. It was like shit like that. You want to know how they came to my store the first time? I saw this whole play and it was on camera too. A guy, a bald-headed white tall guy, maybe 6'1", 6'2", walks up to the window of the store at Vaughan Mills, stands there, does nothing, walks direct, not just casually strolling with it on his phone. I mean, he walks direct, stands there. A lady walks in. As soon as the lady walks in, he walks away. You're telling me that's not a play? You're telling me that's not a play? I mean, they could have just told her the name of the store and where the store is, and she could have done that. That was a play. And to me, I was like, why did they do all that? They could have just said, go to this section around this entrance and just walk in. I don't know why they did that, but it was a code red to me. And I've been on code red ever since. Well, you get used to it after a while, to be honest with you. You go through something long enough, it stops shocking your system. I talk about this and I don't realize how terrifying it is until I look up and I see the look on someone's face. And the look on the person's face is usually like people start like taking steps back away from me when I tell them the story, or they laugh because they think it's crazy. They think it's like I'm out of my mind, because it is crazy. But I'll tell you guys what I'm proud of. First of all, I'm dead proud of myself and my strength. I've always been resilient. I've always been able to work through crazy things, but listen, I'm harder than all these guys in Toronto. I don't care. I don't care. Thank God I'm a girl. If I was a guy, I'd be a killer. I'm hard. Like, I really dealt with that for a year and a half. That's number one. Number two, I never turned on God. I never looked up and said there's no God. I never said, why is this happening to... I didn't even ask God why it was happening to me. It's crazy to me looking back because every day I was just thankful. I was like, God, thank you. Thank you for waking me up today. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Like the whole time. That is what I am most proud of, is that I didn't turn on God because God didn't turn on me. But on the flip side, I was being guided by God in a very serious way. I mean, like, I'd wake up out of my sleep and God would be like, go over here, go do this, go make this report, go do that, at very specific times. And God would tell me the name of things. And I'd look it up and I was like, holy shit, this is actually a thing. What the fuck is this? And it's like my relationship with God just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And until it got to the point I would go on YouTube or Twitter or different places and it's like, I know my phone is hacked and they're reading the stuff I'm reading and they're like, holy shit, this girl is getting messages like live and direct. God is like talking to me. This is a scary thing. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. None of this is a joke. But it's like towards the end is where I was asking God, not why it was happening, but I was like, why is it still going on? And then I started finding other victims that are going through it and they didn't have the same spiritual help. And they were doing everything wrong. They were doing everything that any normal, logical person would do, but it was the wrong way to go about it because those people do things to you to trigger you, let's say. They try to trigger you every day so that you'd snap on someone, beat someone up, end up in jail. They'll do things where it's like you're going to come and self-sabotage yourself. You're going to do things that make you look bad. You're going to be a hostile person. You're going to change. And every day God would be like, don't play into that. Be yourself. Be calm. And so when I make my videos and I say, if you're going through this, you need to meditate. You need to breathe. You need to play soft music. You need to calm yourself. It's not because of like being a hippie. It's because you just came out of crazy stuff outside. And when you come inside, the spiritual attacks that people go through, I went through it. Believe me, it gets bad. They want to drive you crazy. They want to get you out of here. And people go through things. They start falling sick. Terminal illnesses. Scary stuff is happening. They turn your house into a haunted house. You have to be able to, for me, I mean, I was spiritual, but I wasn't into no witchcraft, no spell work, nothing like that. I was spiritual in like, as a yogi, like, let me go meditate and I liked crystals. I liked the zodiac and stuff like that, but more as not, anything where I have to teach anybody anything, but just as like a personal thing that is like a pastime for me. I just ended up falling into it more, etc., etc. And then it was like, now I'm dealing with spell work and I know it's spell work, period. You can't tell me. Anybody who tells me they don't believe in spell work, I will make you a believer. This will make you believe. What? The police know it's spell work. They know straight up it is. These people, the same people, started doing everything I was doing. If I was into crystals, they would come in and ask me, what crystals are you wearing? What's that one for? What's that one for? And they would be wearing it too. If I did something to protect my house, they would do it too. You know how I know it was getting crazy? My daughter came home and she said, oh my God, Mom, like you weren't cleaning the house? And I was like, no. She's like, the whole outside in the neighborhood smells like that. And I ran to the front door and you know what kind of cleaning they must have been doing in their house? But they were doing what I was doing because shit was backfiring onto them. So it's crazy for me to say this, but it's the truth. God didn't just step in to save me from this situation. God put me in this situation purposely because it's like sometimes God has to find the best person for the job. And when I was going through this situation, I could tell you one thing. Every hurdle I was going through reminded me of a problem I faced in my life when I was asking God, what kind of luck do I have that this is happening to me? Let me give you an example. I never had good friendships before. Every time I'd have a friendship, they'd gossip about me, they'd hurt me, they'd slander me, all kinds of stuff would happen. I'm like, wait, what have I done? So from a very young age, I've learned to be by myself. A very young age, like really young. I've just never had friendships. I always had to be alone. And one of the things that this required was me being by myself, completely isolated for long periods of time. So by the time I got over here to this situation, and they took everyone from me, all my friendships, all my networks, and I was always on my own, that was like nothing to me. That was second nature. Hell, I love it by myself, to be honest with you, because I get a lot of work done. I remember as well, one thing about me is I work really hard and I get a lot of work done. And that's another thing that the situation required of me, is to work under pressure. Because I had to still keep my business going while being gang stalked. Shit, I was making even more money while being gang stalked. My head was to the grinder. Hustling. Hustle mode. No distractions. Like, and that's the thing about me. I know how to ignore people, like to the point I could probably teach that as a skill. Like I could call it a skill. When I don't want to be distracted, I cannot be distracted. I don't care if a dead body drops right beside me here, right beside me there. I'm going to finish the project that I'm on. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to submit it. I'm going to get it done. Maybe I'll address the dead body after. When I'm done, I don't care. So it's like these people are trying to throw me off, to take me up, because they need a tangible result. They need to say, you're bankrupt, you're mentally ill, you've lost everything. So they wanted me to lose the business. God was like, no, you're not losing shit. So much things came in my way as obstacles in that time. This is enough to drive people crazy. I'm telling you. If it's not for guidance, for spiritual guidance, this is enough. That's why people don't survive it. Grown men don't survive it. And you gotta stay in. And I'm thinking, like, why does God still have me in this? Like, it's time, like it has to be done. And to be honest with you, now that I look at it, and it dawned on me a couple different times, I'm like, if they had succeeded with me and this guy had got into that organization, there would have been no stopping him. There would have been no stopping him. But there is karma in the way that it happens. The way that it happens is he comes right when people are about to make the most money that they're going to make, and right when they're going to get their destiny, and he steals it from them. And that's what God did. God waited right when he was going to make it big time, because this wouldn't have been the little money he was making before. This would have been big money, because he would have probably been training people on how to recruit. The recruitments would have been like this. It would have been like this. The whole world would have been selling drugs, I'm telling you. Because he's using spirituality on top of it. They're not just using intimidation tactics. They're using more. So it's like, the fact that I made it to January 1st is such a huge deal for me, that I made it with my life. I'm not in anybody's organization. I'm safe. I'm far from bankrupt. My mental health is amazing. My relationship with God is the best that it's ever been. In fact, I didn't even know God. Like, we don't know God. I'm telling you guys that right now. We don't know God. We think God is just like a man in the sky, or like, you don't know. First of all, there are multiple gods. The Bible says there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's three. The Holy Spirit is mother. That's who I refer to as mother, because it's a feminine energy. That's the universe. God does not even come down. God is there, but God doesn't come down like that. It's the Holy Spirit that comes, that helps us. And you know, when you look at all of this, you think, I don't know, but God is like, I think of God as a person now. Like the way how you see a ghost, like that. But it's more than that. It's like God has a personality. God is like, God speaks to you, and it's not all just, first of all, I'm gonna tell you, let me debunk some things for you. God doesn't care about a lot of things that people say that God cares about. God doesn't care about people who smoke weed, or if you cuss, or if you, God doesn't care about that. God cares about your heart and your intention. That's what's important. All of this extra stuff that they make you think, it doesn't matter. There's people who are really close to God and you would not think so. And I'm saying to you that, like, I'd be in the car driving and God would say things to me and guide me. And I'm telling you, in the beginning, I wanted to think that I was just going crazy. I wanted to believe that. I'm like, there's no way this is happening. That's part of why I survived it, because of this surreal thing that was happening, where it's like, I've always felt like I had a relationship with God, but not in that way. Like, I'm saying, like I think of God as a person, a separate person, and that's why I don't pray in the same way. My prayers sound like conversations. Like I just talk, like I'm talking into the camera right now. I just talk. And when God talks back to you, it's fucking crazy. I want everybody to experience it just once, just to know it's real. I want everybody to see it for themselves. It is the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you just feel like you're falling in love. Like, you see, the same way you fall in love with a guy. There's the honeymoon stage. Like, you think he's the best thing. You want to tell everybody about it. Like, that's what happens. You just, I can't even, I've tried so many times to put it into words. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I just feel like, and after that happened, it's like, no one can take anything from me. Like, I actually, like, know God for real. Like, nobody can, yo, it's like, when I started seeing, like, their mission is to take the house, I'm like, I didn't really care, because it was like, we're just gonna buy another house. We're gonna buy 10 houses. It doesn't matter. Like, yo, a relationship with God is like this. You guys are in a relationship now, right? You have to think of this outside of man and woman love that involves sexuality and all that. Think of it just as the same process of falling in love. It's still falling in love, but we're taking out sex, obviously, because this is a spirit and your same gender and all of that, right? You're in a relationship now. You go to work. People are seeing you talking to yourself. You're talking to God, right? And you'll be like, you know what I really want today? A, B, C, D, E. And God's like, okay. Now, this is fresh into the relationship, right? 20 minutes later, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? So you start experimenting with this over and over. You're like, there is no way, there's no way, there's no way. It is ridiculous. You start trusting in this relationship. And so much so, you don't even ask for things. People think, of course, you thinking of it now, you're like, oh, I'll ask for $100 million. You don't even need to ask for that, because from your standpoint right now, you need 100 million because you're still indoctrinated in the fact that you think 100 million is going to make you feel good. But actually, when you have God, you don't need to feel good about anything anymore. Every day feels good, no matter what is happening around you. Every day feels good. It's crazy. I used to cry a lot in the beginning, profusely, everywhere, in the car, everywhere, because it's like the presence of God feels like love. It feels like love that you don't deserve. It feels like no one's ever loved me like this before. I can't believe someone loves me like this. It's overwhelming. Somebody asked me, like, so what does it feel like? It feels like love. It feels like love. It feels like it's too good to be true. And I realized feeling that love that I want to say 99.9% of these people, everybody on the planet has never felt love. We don't know what love is. If you felt love, you'd actually keep saying, I don't deserve this. You wouldn't feel worthy of it just because it's like, this is too much. It's overwhelming. And the other thing I want to tell you guys, since I have a few people in here, when God talks to you, it feels like an orgasm. That's what it feels like. Your whole body shakes, like it just, but it's like all over your head, your feet. It's like, it shakes you. It's crazy. So I started connecting the dots. If God feels like love, right? And when God communicates with you, it feels like an orgasm, but not in a sexual way. It's a non-sexual orgasm. It doesn't, I have to try to say that. And it's like communication without words, but you understand what the words are. So there was one morning I was at the store and I was there early before we opened, and I went to use the washroom. And I had this feeling come over me again. It was like, it took over me. It shook me to the core. It feels like an orgasm, right? And God basically said to me, if anybody touches you, I'll rip the whole fucking earth apart. Like, they cannot touch you. And it was like, because God had kept sending those messages, and it was like I was hearing it, but I wasn't taking it in. And it was like, she's like, no, I need to tell you, if nobody is going to touch you, if people touch you, I'm not just going to take them out. I'm going to rip this earth apart. And it was like, whoa, that whole day, I was like stunned because I was like, who, am I that important? Like, this is crazy. Yo, the most important thing to do in this life is just to meet God. All this other shit we're doing is a waste of fucking time. It is a waste of time. All of it. The most important thing you want to do is have that kind of love. Think of the love you want from a partner. We keep being drawn to like having a partner. But imagine if the most powerful force in the entire universe loves you like that. It's bewildering. The other thing too is like, if God communicates like that and it feels like an orgasm, it really makes you see how sacred sex is. It really makes you see that just having an orgasm is God communicating with you in a sense. And then I started really thinking more about the witchcraft thing, because let me tell you something. There's something called sex magic. And sex magic is where they have to have sex with each other, and when they orgasm, they wish for something bad, or usually it's bad things that they're wishing to happen to people. So that's what they do. So they've basically used that power, that gift that God gives to us, which is a communication to God, which gives us a direct link to God, and they use it to manifest against people. And sure, you could look it up. You could look up sex magic. I'm not just saying it. It's like this whole thing that constantly, like, the church does have the right idea. Like, you should be careful with who you sleep with, because you sleep with people, you pick up their demons. You pick up things that are on them. You do. There are sex demons. They're called incubus and succubus demons. They make you very lusty, and they anytime people are in sex work in Hollywood, anytime, like Cardi B definitely has that on her. In the drug trade, they use that. They keep people lustful so they can't have relationships because they keep cheating. They can't control themselves. They have sex addictions, people who watch too much porn, all of this. These people, it's like they use these entities, and you sleep with somebody that has that on them, all of a sudden you get turned out. Now you're not yourself. Now you're behaving in odd ways. Now people are coming towards you, manipulating you with sex. You're getting dickmatized, this, that, and the third. Like, all kinds of things are happening. And it's like, these things are not things that people talk about, but they are very real. Coming from what I've been through, I'm telling you, I've seen it. That's how they get politicians. That's how they get celebrities. That's how they get a lot of people. First, they send the demon to you first. Then they come in. I think Britney Spears had that on her with that guy. I swear to God, like, listen, nobody has to take my word for it, but I'm telling you what I know, all right? At the end of the day, it's so crazy because you need so much protection from this, because they do a lot of work on people in their sleep, and when you're in your sleep, you're defenseless. You can't even, it's like you just think you had a dream, but it's actually a vision. You thinking you're having a dream, but that you just slept with some weird thing in your sleep. And then you wake up and like your body's feeling weird and you're feeling. Twice they did that to me. And they sent things towards me. It wasn't really like the sex demon thing, but they sent something towards me and I was feeling it. I was shaking, I was feeling uncomfortable, and I had to go clean that shit off of me. And the second time, it took a while to clean it off. Like the second time was scary. The first time it was like, it was very easy. But the second time was stronger and it was fucking scary and it took a couple of days. And after that, I started tightening up on everything. I wasn't playing any type of games because I was like, this is very serious. Like, they're really doing shit to people. But it's like I can feel those things on my body. Most people can't. Most people don't even know what's going on. And I feel like they have a lot of people under a daze. We look at Hollywood, we look at all of those things, and now I can tell when people are going through that. I could tell when new celebrities are going through their fight. We all saw what was going on with Doja Cat. She started acting weird. They wouldn't let her talk to reporters. If the reporter came to talk to her, they would push the reporter out of the way. Like she was under heavy spell work. Like you could see, I could see it on her because I went through it. I went through it. So at the end of the day, I say all that to say this. When people hear me talk about this gang stalking thing and people hear me talk about the fact that I didn't find myself stuck in this world and I made it, I'm not going to say I made it out. I never really made it in. I never signed on the dotted line. I never got on the plane. I never did any of that. It's a way bigger thing than just, escaping a very scary situation. Because I'll tell you, I think it's almost impossible to break out once you're already in. Me staying out was a hard enough fight. Imagine if I ended up in, and I belong to those people. I don't even think police take reports from people who are cartel. They hear that, they're like, listen, you're on your own. It's like belonging to the military. It's like, no. We don't deal with that. I don't know if you guys know, but if military personnel get in situations, the normal courts and normal police will not deal with them. They send them back to the military. The military has their own court, their own police, their own everything. Their own mediation, their own government funding, everything. It's all separate. That's how they treat that. They don't deal with it. And I can tell you I experienced that because when I went to the RCMP, they asked me straight up, like, are you involved? And I was like, no. And they're like, are you sure? And it was almost like they're trying to ask me to say, if you are, then we don't want to take your report type of thing. I'm like, what? How can the RCMP be talking like that? That's crazy. Listen, at the end of the day, for anybody, and I'm going to take this video, my YouTube is pinned up here at the top of the live. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put it on my YouTube as a video. I keep putting it in my stories. And as I do my work, it's like, this is important to me. This is near and dear to me. The same way, cancer is important to people, or the war in Ukraine is important to Ukrainians. Gang stalking is close to my heart. So anybody who doesn't want to work with me because they don't want to see me talk about it, oh fucking well. It's important to me. There's people stuck in this. Men and women. Hell, there's police stuck in this. There's all kinds of people are stuck and are going through this. And again, like I said, from a criminal's perspective, it's like the perfect crime because it's hard to convict. So for me, I'll keep talking about it. I'll keep posting the links. If I convey anything to anyone, I don't really need anybody to believe what I say about like my relationship with God. But trust me, people who know that I have to be tapped into something to survive this. As a matter of fact, they start calling me a dark witch. And let me tell you, I'll be real with you guys. If it takes being a dark witch to escape that, whatever it takes to get out, it takes. But that's not what I'm into. That's not what I'm into. The people who are into this stuff are so used to that spell work and that dark stuff that it's like they don't believe in God. Because God hasn't come through in their opinion for anybody yet. There are people who are Christians who know every verse in the Bible and they suck them up like this. So they have reason not to believe in God because people are hypocrites. People will say they believe in God and then they don't. They don't. So it's like, for me, it's almost like I'm almost making them believe in God, because they're like, hell, if what she's saying is not true, how comes none of this is working? I've never been sick. I haven't died. And don't listen, let me tell you something. Don't think they can't kill you with spell work. Easy. Easy, easy, easy. One of the easiest things to do is to get rid of somebody. People disappear every day with this stuff. And you know how genius it is that they're using that instead of using a gun, instead of kidnapping you? This is why I walk free. Because these are not killers. These are not killers. These are people who lived in my neighborhood. I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I ended up picking that neighborhood to live in, if you guys want to talk about God. But these are regular people. They're not killers. They're not going to take a gun and do anything to you. That would leave a trail of evidence. That would make the victim's claims true. If we're using guns to kill people, or we're kidnapping people, or we're doing anything physical, then it's like they have to take the gang stalking claims true, because it's like now there's a trail of evidence. You need no evidence. Who can prove spell work? God had to intervene in that situation. And there are many victims. In my time, I've met many victims in Toronto. I might not know people, but people know me. People know what's happened to me. I don't know them. Because people started seeking me out, coming to the business and kind of like asking me what I do in a roundabout way. There were women that came in and they would kind of bring up the story and talk about it. And they would ask me, they would bring up key things, and I knew after a certain while what they were talking about. And they would ask me little things, and I would say to them, go do this and go do that. And they would be like, it's like they're coming in pretending it's casual, and when I tell them something, it's like they stand up alert and they're listening and they're drinking in everything I say, and they're like, okay, all right, okay, and where do I get that? And what do I do? Okay. And I'll never forget, a couple of them would hug me and go. A couple of them, I'll never forget, there was one lady, she squeezed my hand and she said, good luck. And she left. And I just knew to myself, I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone. I'm not the only one, not even by far. And then there were times where people would come in and they started picking up that people were coming in asking questions. And it's like the people would talk to me and some man would walk in the store, and it's like the people would be jumpy looking around, and then they would quickly leave. But they don't want to leave. They want to talk. They want to get the information. So this is why I have my YouTube. I'm going to teach you guys how to clean your house. I'll do it on another video. This video is getting too long. I'm going to teach people how to clean their house, because when people are sending spell work in your house and it keeps collecting, that's how people, all the bad luck and the bullshit keeps happening to people, and people don't know how. Just to tell you guys something, you know how dark energy works? It bounces really fast. Think of atoms. It bounces really fast around. That's why it hits different people. It comes in, they send it into you, and it bounces around. So it'll hit whoever's in the environment. That's why it doesn't necessarily hit the person it's intended for, and it hits people around them. So it comes in, it might hit your kid, it might hit your pet. Hell, it might hit your stove, and now the stove doesn't work. Depends on what the energy is that they're sending. You gotta get that shit out of your space immediately. You cannot leave dark energy in your space, not even for 5 minutes. You gotta get rid of that stuff. And everybody that's in this gang, everybody that's going through all of this stuff that they're going through, they don't know how to heal themselves. They don't know how to clean their space. They don't know any of it. They don't know how to do that stuff. And I could see them being hit with stuff left and right. I'm not going to do it on this video. This video is too long. And I'm not going to do it too soon. There's something specific that needs to happen first before I can share this information. This is why information is always sacred, because getting information in the wrong hands is where problems begin. And God wants people to have this information, but there's people that abuse it. Just like what we're going through, what this guy started learning and what he did and what he started doing in the city and making people basically his slaves. He got the wrong type of information and he started using it against us. The same way God brings everybody into the fold, the same way God brings everybody and gives us new life. That's the information he got. And instead of giving people new life, he enslaved people in these fucking gangs. He enslaved people to start making people live a life of crime and sharing in his karma. That's why he wasn't getting karma, because he keeps giving people money and shaking hands with people and making people do things, and they're sharing in his karma, and his karma is massive. His karma is unthinkable. That's how much karma this man has. Once you're breaking spiritual law, your karma is ridiculous, but it's like he keeps getting away with it because he keeps bringing in more people. And when you serve these darker entities, these darker forces, everybody thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to get all this money and I'm going to do all of this stuff. And that is not how it works. You need to, any spiritual practice is a practice. It's not a one-time thing. It takes maintenance. With God, you stay close to God through prayer. You stay close to God through specific practices that you have, but God doesn't ask you to go out there and do anything crazy. When you're dealing with lower entities, they want you to go out there and continue bringing more people in and more. Why do you think you go to a concert, let's call it Little Uzi or whoever, and they come out dressed as a devil and they're like, who's ready to worship Satan tonight? And they're doing it in your face, because now instead of them going and getting one person or two people at a time, they go to a concert with like 500 people and they just say that. And they're doing all of these things. And there's so many rituals that people are performing in our face and we don't know. And like I said, there's a lot of very kind, soft-hearted people. There's always the people they go for first. Because who wants to fight? Who wants to fight? They go for all these kind, soft-hearted people and they swallow them into this thing and they use them. And if you were supposed to have your destiny, your business was supposed to blow up, you're supposed to be a huge star, you're supposed to have all of this stuff, they take it away from you. And instead they have you working for them for peanuts, for pennies. This is not, and it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a news reporter, whoever you are, a politician, whoever you are. So this is my message for tonight. I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it on my YouTube. Guys, please check out my YouTube. I give different topics as things become relevant to me, things that I want to talk about. These are treacherous times. I feel like you just need information to help you and keep you safe in the eventuality. This is real stuff that's happened. For the fact that I'm coming on my business page and I'm talking about it, believe me, it's near and dear to my heart. And it's very real. It's very real stuff. So, I'm going to leave it here for now because I don't like my videos to go too much over an hour. But this was really what I wanted to talk about, was just how important it was that I went on this journey. And it was something I had to realize how important it was, because it's so difficult that I start asking God, like, why am I going through this? How can this happen to me? Haven't I been a good person? And right then I stop myself, because God is like, we need you. Like, you're needed to do this job. Like, you're needed for this. And, you know, it's not that I believe, I know that it's going to be brought to justice. You guys are going to hear about this more. You're going to hear about this on the news. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just needed to make it to 2024. And I started being actively gang stalked from 2022. So you have no idea, no clue how terrifying it has been, how crazy it has been, and how long it's taken for me to get my strength to speak in the way that I speak, to speak as strongly as I speak, to not have fear. So don't let everything, I always say to people, like, everything I went through, I don't want it to be in vain. That's why I put it on YouTube, so people can hear it and people can arm themselves and find a relationship. And there's no trick to it. Getting a relationship with God is as easy as just talking into the air and just telling your problems. Do you know how happy God is when somebody finally acknowledges and sees through the veil and's like, yes, I'm here. I've been here the whole time. I've been helping you. I'm the one that solved this for you. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that did that. And one of the first things in my relationship when I got close to God is I did a lot of apologizing for coming off so ungrateful and not knowing this whole time it's been God. This whole time, everything's been God. I had to be apologizing, and I'm like, God, this is the way that I was coming off. And God is so understanding of us. If you're in a predicament, if you're in a situation, it doesn't have to be as bad as gang stalking. It could be financial. It could be your business is not successful at the moment. It could be whatever it is. One thing in the beginning that God kept saying to me is that every prayer is heard. It's not answered right away, but it's heard. It doesn't have to be answered right away. Once you send that prayer out, it's heard. And angels get on the case, and that's it. And it may be answered in 3 months, in 6 months. Don't worry about timing. Timing is what trips us up. Don't worry about the timing. You're always safe, but you're here to learn lessons. You're here to just go through cycles and just watch the journey of how it unfolds. Now that I'm on this side, it's like I remember things were scary, but I don't remember the physical pain. I remember things, but it's like it's like you go through all of that, and by the time you get out of it, you don't even remember. Like, you remember it, but you don't even feel it anymore like you did initially. But it's like, that's what you want to get through. You just want to get through the journey. But the things I've learned invaluable. And I also realized that for where I'm going, I had to learn how to do that. I had to be resilient. I had to learn how to pray. The last thing I'm going to leave anybody with before I leave, or before I close this out, is like this. This is spiritual law, okay? Nobody spiritually is allowed to intervene on your behalf without you asking, because we have free will as human beings. This is the only key that you need to know. You have to ask. It's very gut-wrenching for your ancestors, for God, for the spirit world who cares about you, who loves you, to see you going through things. And you're just complaining about, like, why am I going through this? But you didn't ask for help. You have to actually, you have to verbatim say it. And it's like a contract. Your words, your prayer is a contract that allows him to come in and change everything for you. You have to pray. That's all prayer is just asking, is just talking. And, I use my prayers for all kinds of things. I'll gossip to God. I talk to God about things. It's just like all day, every day. It's like I just go into, like, it's like God's like my best friend. Like, I just talk. But I also, a lot of times, even me, I forget to ask. I start thinking of, like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to get the money for this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to... Then I was like, oh shit, why am I dealing with this myself? I'm just like, God, please. I need A, B, C, D. Be specific. What do you want? Be specific. This is not a superpower. This is what we all have. God is eager to prove to you that God is real. Eager, very eager. Start asking, start talking. And the more you talk and the more you build up that relationship, God will start talking back. God may not talk back to you in the same way as me. It might be a meme online. It might be a message. It might be a fortune cookie, whatever it is that's specific to your situation. But you will know when it's for you. You will know because you asked the question. And the question will be answered. God is eager. They're eager to talk. I'm telling you. And it's there for us. It's there for all of us. We don't access it. Whatever it is that you want. And listen, and I'll also tell you, as I tell you this as well, be careful what the hell you ask for. Because, you're going to be like, I want 100 million. Okay. God will be like, well, in order to get the 100 million, you have to be the victim of an attempted murder. You really want to be attempted? I'm just saying, you will get what you ask for, but you don't know how you're going to get it. You don't get to say when, and you don't get to say how. That is the way that it works. It works the same way when working with God as working with lower forces, demons, etc. People ask demons for something, like they go to a demon and you're like, this is a real story I was listening to online. Somebody's like, they asked for their husband to never cheat on them. And do you know the way the demon answered that? Their husband could not get aroused ever again. Like, he couldn't get it up. And it's like, you got what you asked for, but you can't dictate the way that you get it. It's the same way with God. God's not going to tell you how. God's not going to tell you when. But whatever it is that you do ask for, you're going to get it. You're going to get it as long as you walk that path. And again, I'm telling you, you don't have to be... Look at that. This is to show you the evidence of what I'm talking about with Gang Stalkers. Someone literally just entered the chat, hasn't listened to 5 minutes of what I'm saying. It's clearly a fake page and asking, are you all right? I'm telling you, they don't want you to talk about this stuff. They don't want you to talk about this stuff. Are you all right? This is how they try to harass people. Now, before, I'm glad for this response, because before this stuff used to trigger me because it was like, it's very obvious. But now I'm glad there are people here just to see it. There's no way that somebody's talking about God. Somebody's telling people how to pray. Somebody's telling people to ask God for the things that you want, and someone is saying, are you all right? That's how they're scared for you guys to pray. Look at the hypocrite now. Oh, so sorry. Look at the hypocrite now. That's how you have to respond to them. Do not let them take you. Don't let the devil will come in to sideswipe you all the time. Don't let people take you out of your character. They used to take me out of my character and trigger me. After I came out of all of this, I used to get taken out of my character because I had held so much in for so long. But where I am right now, I understand why. Because me telling people to pray means that they can't come in and do the things to people that they used to do so easily anymore. They couldn't do things to me easily because I was putting up walls of protection because I was praying. If you say you don't believe and you don't want to pray and you don't want this and you don't want that, somebody comes in easily and just takes you off of your rocker. They just come in, sweep in easily. But once you see you start praying, and let me tell you how I started. I didn't start with God right away. I was talking to my grandmother who passed away. I was talking to my grandmother and I was asking her for help. And at that time, I don't even know why I was doing it. Because like I said, I was just meditating. I was just, things like that. I wasn't into like the whole spiritual warrior prayer thing. So it started with my grandmother. And as I would talk to my grandmother, it's like I started seeing the intervention on my behalf. It's like I'm seeing the power struggle. I'm seeing how things could have gone bad, but I'm getting saved from them. I'm getting pulled away from things that are scary. And then there was a time where I was seeing like it's almost like they were ganging up, like it was more and more energy coming. And I was like, okay, I got to go to the Most High. And I was really invoking God. And it was like, let me tell you, first of all, I had a business where we were selling clubwear. Girls were in sexy clothes, on my page. I wasn't holy. I wasn't like some preacher's daughter or anything like that. And you don't have to come in the condition that you are. I always tell people, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what lifestyle you're in. God favors that even more. God loves that even more. Whatever condition you're in, don't worry about all of that. Because people are going to come and say, oh, you dress like this and you do this and you used to do that and now you're all holy and now so what? So what? You got to come in the condition that you're in, and you got to talk to God in the condition that you're in. You need help. Because I promise you, when God starts working with you, you yourself will voluntarily change your lifestyle on your own. You won't need, it won't seem boring to you to not go clubbing. It won't seem boring to you to not sleep around or to this or to that, because you will realize the reason why this is dangerous for you. That's why I don't come to anybody holier than thou. I don't come like I'm better than anyone. I don't do any of that. You don't have to do any of that. And God and the underworld work together. They work together. Remember, God made Lucifer. God made Satan. And he was cast out. God made all of these entities. So don't believe that just because you've lived a lifestyle, because you've had this happen or that happen, that means anything. It doesn't. Come as you are. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Upload it onto YouTube. Thank you to the girl who sat in the live the whole time. I hope it meant something to you. And to the people who do watch my lives, I thank you as well. And I will be in touch. This is what's been on my heart to talk about. And believe me, if I didn't come and talk about it, I would not be able to move on with my evening. I would have been in a state of discomfort. energetically. God was really pushing me to talk about this stuff. So have a good night, and I will talk to you guys soon.